everything, it's time to add your personification label. Some of you have scrolls where you know you're going to write the word winter or summer or fire. Some of you, like me, haven't included a scroll in your work, but you still need to include that label. And so there's a couple things you can do. You can decide to add a scroll now by going online and downloading a scroll and inserting it and tracing it now. Or you can kind of like creatively investigate how to add the text. So mine is going to say air. Originally, I thought I would put it in the sun here, but I feel like that's going to be too crowded. So I thought I would play around a little bit and see what I can do. So for text, you have a text option. You see the little T here, and my computer is now spinning trying to read the T. And you can see it can go horizontal, vertical. It can become a mask tool, like you could type something out and it would mask whatever image is in there. So don't use those, but I'm going to go with the horizontal. And there you can see this text, and there's all these texts here. And one of the things about choosing a text is that it should feel like your work, right? You don't want to put, if mine is air, a big heavy text or font would not make sense. So I'm going to scroll through and see what text might make sense. And I kind of know I'm not going to use any of these texts. You can also download Photoshop fonts from the internet. Unfortunately, the one site that we've always used is now blocked by IT. So we can problem solve that if you really want to use a pre-designed text font. I'm going to start with this one, and I'm going to show you that you can make it larger by typing it in and hitting enter. You can change the color here. I'll go with that color. And then I'm going to write air. And I'm really not liking it now that I see the word air. It's too condensed. You can make it bold and different things here. But now I'm going to play. Ooh, maybe this. Okay, now that I've got air, I can look at it. That's kind of interesting. So I'm going to come back to my text. I'm going to highlight it. I can give it an arc. That might help. You hit OK. And then I can go to transform, skew. And let me see what else I can do here for placement and arrangement. Use my arrow keys also. Okay, I'm going to hit enter. All right, so now if this was what I wanted to use, what could I do? I could turn the opacity down, almost like it is air. So I'm thinking creatively now. Now, do I love this? Not really, but I'm going to play with it, and then I'll show you some hand font or hand lettering. I'm going to come to the smudge tool. Will it let me? I have to rasterize it first and make this bigger. I want to see what happens. Ooh, so that's interesting. So almost like I'm drawing air. Oops. With the smudge tool, I have to grab it. So is this the right way? Again, it doesn't really go, it goes with the idea of air, but it doesn't go with my work. So I'm going to turn that off, but that's a text tool for you to experiment with. I'm going to make a new layer now, and I'm going to play with some hand drawing. You can use any brush. Think about like what might look good with your work. I'm just going to play with permanent marker here. Color, I'm going to change it. Okay. Oh, I'm in smudge. I'm in the smudge. I make sure I'm in there. Permanent marker, medium tip. Turn that smoothing up. And I'm going to just experiment with some cursive. Now, I like it. Maybe I want to redo the R. And you can also look online for some font ideas. And you can even import, like go to Pinterest and find a font you like and trace those letters and then fill them in here. That's another option. But I'm going to go to Edit, Free Transform. I'm going to skew this, make it tiny. And I'm really thinking about like, where do I want it? And as I'm looking, maybe it needs something else. So I'm going to erase it and keep playing. And that's part of this, is like playing. And just figuring out, you know, where's the best placement. And then also, if I want to change the color, I can come over to color balance. Let's make that more red, more pink, more yellow. So I'm just mixing a new color there. And I kind of like this the most that I've done so far, and then turn it down. So I think I got the placement right. But one thing I might want to come do now, in Air by this big leaf. And I like the placement, but I want to play with some other fonts. And so I went on Pinterest and I typed in font design alphabet, and I scrolled through until I found something that maybe I thought could work. And this font looks pretty small, but let's see. I'm going to just make it bigger to what I think would be the right size. And I really just want this A. So now I'm going to make a layer above it. And I'm going to try something new. I'm going to come here and it's going to say select subject or select and mask. I'm going to try select and mask. Oops, but I think I need, I'm going to hit cancel. First, I'm going to grab this. Let me, I'm on the wrong layer. So select, deselect. I am making mistakes. All right, so now I'm on the right layer. And let's see what happens when I hit select and mask. It did not work. Okay, so now I've selected this. And I'm going to hit select inverse. And I should be able to just erase everything that isn't that letter, just so I can like really see it. So I'm just going to erase everything here, knowing I can always drag and drop this image in again if I want to use another letter. Okay, so there's all sorts of ways, kind of fudging around with Photoshop. I'm going to come over to my bluish purple that I want. And now I'm going to select inverse again. Now I've got that back. And hard round pressure size. I'm just going to paint this. And then select, deselect. Now, I'm thinking this really needs to be cleaned up though. So I'm going to make this smaller and turn my smoothing way up. There's a couple ways I could do this. I could go around it with the pen tool as well. But I'm just going to paint over it slightly because that file was really pixelated. So I'm just coming over. Cleaning this up. Sorry, it's taking a second. And really refining those edges. And people get paid just to design fonts. It's a graphic designer's job. So, what I want to do is now add the eye. I want to come off this and think about how I want to add the eye into this font. So I'm going to come up and then I'm looking and I'm mirroring what I see. So I could go find another eye and I could do the same thing and arrange them together using the transform tool and the move tool. But I'm just designing as I go. I know I can erase what I don't like. I want to zoom out. I'm liking this better than what I had before. The tricky part will be the R, so let's zoom back in. I want this to be a lower R, so I need to erase this. And fill this in. I can actually probably just paint bucket, sort of. I left some lines. So smoothing off, or almost all the way off, and then I can just go around those lines. Okay, now turn that down. I like that. It does need something, so I'm thinking alignment. Make it bigger, smoothing up. So thinking about, like, how does it close the composition? How does the text relate to everything around it? Just like how every other object relates. And then I'm going to turn this down. All right, am I 100% satisfied? Not quite, but I will keep working on it. But I hope this tutorial has helped you kind of problem solve how to use the font tools in Photoshop, how to create your own fonts, how to work out the composition.